I remember the exact moment I knew something was wrong. It wasn't a text message I found, or lipstick on a collar, or any of those cliché signs you see in movies. It was quieter than that. More insidious. It was the way my husband Derek looked at my sister Vanessa across our dining room table on Thanksgiving, 7 months into my pregnancy with our daughter. The look lasted maybe 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, I watched my entire world tilt on its axis. I was standing in the doorway between the kitchen and dining room, holding a bowl of mashed potatoes that suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. My back ached the way it always did by evening in those days, and my feet were swollen in my flats. I'd spent the entire day cooking Derek's favorite herb rub turkey, Vanessa's beloved sweet potato casserole, my mother's green bean recipe that she'd written out for me on an index card before she died. And there they were, Derek, 32 years old, with those warm brown eyes that had convinced me to marry him 4 years earlier. Vanessa, 26, wearing a dress that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage payment, her dark hair falling perfectly over one shoulder. The look between them wasn't loving. It was knowing. It was the look of two people who share a secret. I set the potatoes down on the table harder than I meant to. The bowl made a sharp crack against the wood. "Everything okay, Em?" Derek asked, and his voice was so normal, so casual, that I thought maybe I'd imagined it. "Fine," I said, "just tired." Vanessa smiled at me, that beauty queen smile she'd perfected in high school when she was crowned homecoming queen and I was in the library studying for the SATs. "You should sit down, sweetie. You've been on your feet all day." The way she said sweetie made my skin crawl, though I couldn't have explained why. That was November. By January, I knew for certain I was 8.5 months pregnant, moving through our small ranch house in Ohio like a ship trying to navigate shallow waters. Derek had started working late, very late, 3-4 nights a week. He'd text me around 6 saying he had to finish a project, that he'd grab dinner at the office, that I shouldn't wait up. I'd married Derek right out of college. We'd met in a statistics class junior year. I was an education major who dreaded math, and he was an engineering student who found numbers as easy as breathing. He'd helped me pass that class, and somewhere between derivatives and probability curves, I'd fallen in love with his patience, his steady kindness, the way he never made me feel stupid for not understanding something the first time. We'd bought our house 3 years into our marriage. It was small, but it was ours. Yellow siding, a maple tree in the front yard, a kitchen where the morning light came in just right. We'd painted the nursery together the month after I got pregnant, a soft sage green that made me think of new growth, new life, new beginnings. I'd wanted to be a mother for as long as I could remember. When other girls in high school were dreaming about prom dresses and college parties, I was babysitting the neighbor kids and reading parenting books from the library. There was something about the idea of creating a family, of building something lasting and good, that felt like my purpose. Vanessa had always been different. She was the beautiful one, the charming one, the one who could walk into a room and make everyone turn their heads. Where I was practical and cautious, she was bold and magnetic. Our father used to joke that I got all the brains and Vanessa got all the luck, but we both knew what he really meant. Vanessa got the looks. After Dad died of a heart attack when I was 23 and Vanessa was 19, she'd spiraled for a while. Dropped out of college, moved to 3 different cities in 2 years, went through boyfriends like tissues. But by the time I got pregnant, she seemed to be settling down. She'd moved back to Ohio, was working as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup, had her own apartment in the trendy part of Columbus. I'd been happy she was home. I'd imagined her as the cool aunt, the one who'd teach my daughter about fashion and confidence and all the things I'd never been good at. God, I was naive. The night I found out, I wasn't looking for evidence. I was looking for Tums. Derek was asleep next to me, snoring softly, one arm thrown over his eyes. It was 2 a.m. and my heartburn was so bad I felt like my esophagus was on fire. I'd run out of the antacids I kept on my nightstand, so I shuffled to the bathroom, then to the kitchen, then finally to Derek's car in the garage, thinking maybe he had some in the glove compartment. He did. Right next to a jewelry box, I sat. In the passenger seat of our Honda Civic, 8 months pregnant, wearing one of Derek's old t-shirts and maternity shorts, and opened that small velvet box. Inside was a necklace. Delicate, expensive looking. A silver chain with a small pendant, the letter VV for Vanessa. I sat there in the dark garage for 20 minutes, maybe longer. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, holding that jewelry box, feeling my daughter kick inside me, and wondered how I'd missed it. How I'd been so blind. When I went back inside, I didn't wake Derek up. I didn't confront him. I climbed back into bed, lay on my side with a pillow between my knees the way the pregnancy books recommended, and stared at the wall until morning light started creeping through the curtains. I think some part of me was hoping I was wrong. The next day I called Vanessa. "Hey." She answered, bright and cheerful. "What's up, Mama? Can you come over?" I asked. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, flat and distant. "I need to talk to you about something." There was the smallest pause. "Is everything okay? Just come over, please." She arrived an hour later, wearing designer jeans and a cashmere sweater, carrying 2 coffee drinks from that expensive place downtown, 1 regular, 1 decaf. "Thought you might want a treat," she said, handing me the decaf as she kicked off her boots in our entryway. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd seen that look on Thanksgiving. "Is Derek having an affair?" I asked. No preamble. No lead up, just a question. Flat and direct. Vanessa's face did something complicated: surprise, then fear, then something like defiance. Don't lie to me." My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table. "Is he having an affair?" She was quiet for so long I thought she might actually tell me the truth. "Yes," she finally whispered. The kitchen felt very small suddenly. "Very cold. With you?" Another long silence. Then, "Yes. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels." I don't remember what I said next. I think I told her to leave. I must have, because suddenly she was gone and I was alone in the kitchen, my decaf coffee getting cold in front of me, my hands still pressed to the table like I was trying to hold the earth in place. When Derek came home from work that evening, I was sitting in the nursery. I'd been there for hours, sitting in the rocking chair we'd bought at a yard sale and refinished together, staring at the empty crib. He appeared in the doorway, still in his work clothes, his tie loosened. "You okay? You didn't answer my texts." "How long?" I asked. I watched him understand, watched the color drain from his face. "How long have you been sleeping with my sister?" He didn't deny it. That somehow was the worst part. If he denied it, I could have clung to doubt a little longer. But he just stood there in the doorway of our daughter's nursery and said nothing. 3 months. He finally admitted. 3 months. While I'd been growing our child, dealing with morning sickness and swollen ankles and the 1,000 small discomforts of pregnancy, he'd been with Vanessa. "I'm sorry," he said, and he actually sounded like he meant it. I'm so sorry. It just had happened. And then it kept happening. And I didn't know how to stop it." "Get out," I said quietly. Get out." He left that night, packed a bag, kissed my forehead. I flinched away, and walked out of our yellow house with the maple tree in the front yard. He moved in with Vanessa. My daughter, Lily, was born 4 weeks later. 20 hours of labor, an emergency C-section, and Derek wasn't there. He was with Vanessa, 20 minutes away, and he wasn't there. My best friend from college, Rachel, held my hand instead. She'd driven 6 hours from Michigan the moment I'd called her in tears, had shown up at the hospital with snacks and magazines and fierce, protective love. "You're going to be okay," she kept telling me as I pushed. "You and Lily. You're going to be okay." I wanted to believe her. Lily was perfect. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, wispy blonde hair and blue eyes that would eventually turn hazel, like mine. She came out screaming, furious at the world, and when they placed her on my chest, still covered in vernix and blood, I felt my heart break and remake itself all at once. "Hi, baby," I whispered. "Hi, Lily. I'm your mom." Derek showed up at the hospital the next day. He stood in the doorway of my room, looking exhausted and guilty, and asked if he could hold her. I should have said no, but she was his daughter too, And I was tired. So tired. And some stupid part of me still hoped that seeing her would wake him up, would make him realize what he'd thrown away. He held Lily for maybe 10 minutes. She was sleeping, her tiny face peaceful, her miniature fingers curled into fists. Derek cried, actual tears running down his face. She's beautiful, Em. She's so beautiful. I know, I said flatly. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You should go. I told him. He did. The divorce took 8 months. Derek wanted to work things out, wanted to try again for Lily's sake, but I knew the truth. He wanted his guilt assuaged. He wanted to be able to tell himself he'd tried, that I was the one who gave up. I hired a lawyer, a fierce woman in her 50s named Judith who wore red lipstick and looked at Derek during mediation like he was something stuck to her shoe. You cheated on your pregnant wife with her sister, Judith said flatly during our first session. This is going to go very well for us. She was right. I got the house, primary custody, and child support that was actually enough to live on. What I didn't get was my sister back. Vanessa sent me a text 3 weeks after Lily was born. I'm sorry. I know you hate me. I deserve it. But I love him, Em. I really love him. I blocked her number. 5 years passed. 5 years of single motherhood. Of learning to be enough for Lily all by myself. 5 years of birthday parties and scraped knees and bedtime stories. 5 years of watching Derek pick up our daughter every other weekend and drive her to the apartment he shared with Vanessa. Lily loved Vanessa. Of course she did. Vanessa was fun, spontaneous, the kind of person who let kids eat ice cream for breakfast and stay up past bedtime. I was the responsible one, the boring one. The one who enforced vegetable eating and homework and reasonable bedtimes. It hurt more than I can describe. Watching my daughter love the woman who destroyed our family. Derek and Vanessa got married when Lily was 2. They didn't invite me, obviously, but Lily came home from a weekend with them, wearing a flower girl dress and talking excitedly about Daddy and Auntie Nessa's wedding. I smiled and nodded and made all the right sounds. While my heart turned to stone in my chest, I rebuilt my life slowly, carefully. Went back to teaching 3rd grade at the elementary school where I'd worked before Lily was born. Made friends with the other single moms in Lily's preschool class. Started seeing a therapist named Dr. Morrison who helped me understand that Derek's betrayal said everything about him and nothing about my worth. I even dated a little. Nothing serious, but enough to remember that I was still a person outside of being Lily's mom. My house stayed yellow. The maple tree grew taller. I planted tulips in the front garden, the kind that come back every spring. Life went on. But I never forgave Vanessa, and I never spoke to her unless absolutely necessary for Lily's sake, which is why, when my phone rang 5 months ago with Vanessa's number, I'd unblocked it a year prior when Lily started kindergarten and coordination became necessary. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Vanessa's voice was bright, nervous. Hey, how are you? Fine. What do you need? A pause. I'm pregnant. I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just a vast, empty space where emotions should have been. Congratulations, I said flatly. Thanks. We're really excited. It's a girl. We're naming her Harper. That's nice. Another pause. Listen, Em. I was thinking it's been 5 years. Don't you think it's time we moved past all this? For the kids' sake? I almost laughed. Moved past it? I know I hurt you. I know what Derek and I did was wrong. But it was 5 years ago. And we're family. And we're not family, Vanessa. We share a daughter through custody arrangements. That's it. That's not fair. What's not fair? I said, my voice getting sharp, is what you did to me while I was pregnant. What's not fair is that you slept with my husband and then married him, and now you want me to pretend like everything's fine because it's convenient for you. Is there something you actually need? Or did you just call to tell me you're pregnant? She was quiet for a moment. Then, there's a baby shower next month at the country club. I'd like you to come. I hung up. I didn't go to the baby shower. But according to Rachel, who'd somehow gotten added to our community Facebook group and kept me updated on local gossip, It was elaborate. Vanessa had registered at 3 different high-end stores. The suggested gift range was $200,500 for a woman who'd stolen her sister's husband. Vanessa sure had audacity. 3 weeks after the shower, she showed up at my house. It was a Saturday morning. Lily was with Derek for the weekend. I was in my garden, wearing old jeans and gardening gloves, digging up weeds from around the tulips. I looked up to find Vanessa standing at the edge of my driveway, one hand on her very pregnant belly. She was maybe 7 months along, wearing a tasteful maternity dress that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill. "What are you doing here?" I asked, not standing up. "I came to talk to you." "You won't answer my calls, because I don't want to talk to you. Please." She stepped closer. "I'm trying here. I've been trying for 5 years." "No," I said, pulling off my gardening gloves and finally standing. "You've been expecting me to get over it for 5 years. That's different. It's been long enough. You have to forgive me eventually." "I don't have to do anything, Vanessa." Her face hardened. This was the Vanessa I remembered from childhood, the one who appeared when she didn't get what she wanted. "You're being unreasonable." "I'm being unreasonable." I could feel my voice rising. "You slept with my husband while I was pregnant. You moved him into your apartment while I was in labor. You married him, and now you want me to come to your baby shower and pretend like we're sisters who braid each other's hair and share secrets. You're delusional." "I love him," she said. "I loved him then and I love him now." "You can't help who you fall in love with." "You're right," I said coldly. "You can't help who you fall in love with. But you can help whether or not you act on it. You could have walked away. You could have told me. You could have done literally anything except what you did. I was young. You were 26 years old, Vanessa. You weren't a child. You knew exactly what you were doing." She crossed her arms over her belly. "Fine. You want to hate me forever? Fine. But Harper is Lily's half-sister. They're going to grow up together. Don't you think they deserve to have their mothers be civil to each other?" "I am civil. I don't badmouth you to Lily. I don't interfere with Derek's custody. But I'm not going to pretend we're family. And I'm not going to go to your baby shower, actually," Vanessa said. And something in her tone made my stomach drop. "That's why I'm here." She reached into her designer purse and pulled out a piece of paper, unfolded it, held it out to me. It was a gift registry printout from one of those high-end baby stores in Columbus. The kind where a blanket costs $200. The top, highlighted in yellow, was a crib. A convertible crib that transformed into a toddler bed, then a full bed. The price? $600. "What is this?" I asked. "Harper's crib," Vanessa said, like it was obvious. "Everyone else at the shower got her the basics, but this is the one big thing we really need." I thought, since you didn't come to the shower or get her anything, you could get her this. I stared at her. "You're joking." "I'm not. It's actually a really good price for what it is." "You want me to spend $6,000 on a crib for your baby?" "For Lily's sister," Vanessa corrected. "For family." Something in me snapped. All the therapy, all the healing, all the careful rebuilding I'd done over the past 5 years, it cracked open like an egg. And everything I'd been holding back came pouring out. "Get off my property." Get off my property." "You're being ridiculous." "I'm being ridiculous." I was shouting now, really shouting. "You destroyed my marriage. You stole my husband while I was pregnant with his child. You married him. And now you're standing in my driveway asking me to buy you a $6,000 crib. Are you actually insane?" Vanessa's face went red. "I knew you'd be like this. I told Derek you'd be petty about it." "Petty?" I was shaking. "You think this is about being petty? This is about the fact that you betrayed me in the worst possible way, and you have never, not once, actually apologized. You've never taken real responsibility. You've just expected me to get over it because it's been 5 years and it's inconvenient for you that I won't. I have apologized, no. You said I'm sorry, but I love him. That's not an apology, Vanessa. That's an excuse. What do you want from me?" She yelled. "You want me to grovel? You want me to say I'm a terrible person? Fine, I'm a terrible person. I did a terrible thing, but I can't undo it, I can't go back and make it not happen." "I don't want you to undo it," I said, and my voice was suddenly very calm, very cold. I want you to leave me alone. I want you to stop acting like we're going to be best friends again. I want you to understand that you don't get to have me in your life anymore. You made a choice. You chose Derek. That's fine. But you don't get to have both. That's not fair to Harper. Harper will be fine. I cut her off. Lily will know her at Derek's house. They'll have a relationship through him. But you and I? We're done. We've been done since the night you told me you were sleeping with my husband. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. Real tears, running down her face. You're my sister, was. I said quietly. I was your sister. She stood there for a long moment, crying, one hand on her belly. Then she turned and walked back to her car, a new Mercedes. I noticed and drove away. I stood in my driveway for a long time after she left, shaking, my heart pounding. Then I went inside, called Rachel, and cried for an hour. 2 weeks later, Derek showed up at my door. We need to talk, he said. No, we don't. We have a custody arrangement. Stick to it. Vanessa is devastated. She's crying every night. The stress isn't good for the baby. I looked at him, this man I'd once loved. This man I'd built a life with. This man who'd thrown it all away, and I felt nothing but exhausted pity. That's not my problem. Derek, she's trying, She's really trying to make things right by asking me for $6,000. He had the grace to look uncomfortable. That was tone deaf. I told her it was too much, you think? But she's right about one thing. Harper and Lily are sisters. They should grow up knowing each other. And that means you and Vanessa need to find a way to get along. I am getting along, I said. I'm being civil. I'm not interfering with your custody or your life. But I'm not going to be her friend. Derek, I'm not going to go to her baby showers or buy her expensive gifts or pretend like what you two did doesn't matter anymore. It's been 5 years, stop saying that. I was shouting again. Couldn't help it. Stop acting like there's a statute of limitations on betrayal. You don't get to cheat on your pregnant wife, marry her sister, and then expect everyone to just get over it because time has passed. I made a mistake, you made a choice, I corrected. Every single time you slept with her while I was pregnant, you made a choice. Every time you lied to me, every time you snuck around, every time you looked at me across the dinner table and pretended everything was fine, those were choices. Derek, not mistakes. He was quiet for a long moment. What do you want from me? I want you to leave me alone unless it's about Lily. I want you to stop trying to pressure me into having a relationship with Vanessa. And I want you to tell her that if she ever shows up at my house again asking for money, I'm going to get a restraining order. You wouldn't try me. He left. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, silence. No calls from Vanessa. No texts. No surprise visits. Lily came home from Derek's house last weekend and told me she'd seen Harper's nursery. It's really pretty, Mama. All pink and white. And they have a really big crib. That's nice, baby, I said, hugging her tight. Do you think Harper will like me? Harper is going to love you, I told her honestly. You're going to be an amazing big sister. And I meant it. Because whatever happened between me and Vanessa, whatever poison existed between me and Derek, that wasn't Lily's fault. And it wouldn't be Harper's fault either. Those girls deserved better than the adults in their lives had given them. Last night, I was putting Lily to bed when she looked up at me with those hazel eyes, my eyes, and asked, "Why don't you and Auntie Nessa talk anymore?" I'd known this question was coming. Had been dreading it for 5 years. Sometimes, I said carefully, grown-ups have disagreements that are hard to get past. It doesn't mean anyone is bad. It just means sometimes things happen that change relationships. Did you have a disagreement? Yes, a really big one. Yes, baby, a really big one. Do you think you'll ever be friends again? I thought about lying. Thought about saying maybe someday or we'll see or one of those non-answer answers that adults give kids. But I'd promised myself I'd always be honest with Lily about the big things. Anyway, no, I said gently. I don't think so. That's sad, Lily said. It is sad. I agreed. But it's okay to be sad sometimes. And it's okay for relationships to change. What matters is that everyone still loves you. Your dad loves you. I love you. And Auntie Nessa loves you too. That doesn't change. Okay, Lily said, seeming satisfied. She snuggled into her pillow. "Can you sing the moon song?" I sang her the lullaby my mother used to sing to me, about the moon watching over sleeping children, keeping them safe through the night. By the time I finished, she was asleep. I stood in her doorway for a long time, watching her breathe. This perfect little human I'd made. And I thought about Vanessa, pregnant with her own daughter, probably lying in bed in that apartment she shared with Derek, maybe singing her own lullabies. I didn't forgive her. I don't know if I ever will. But I didn't hate her anymore either. Hate takes energy, and I had none left to spare. What I had was this: a yellow house with a maple tree, a garden full of tulips, a daughter who loved me, a life I'd rebuilt, piece by careful piece. I had survived the worst thing I could imagine, and I was still standing. That would have to be enough. This morning, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a onesie, tiny white, with pink lettering that said Big Sister. There was a note in Vanessa's handwriting. "For Lily, I'm sorry for everything. Not expecting you to forgive me. Just wanted you to know." I stood in my kitchen holding that tiny onesie, and I cried. Not because I forgave her, not because anything had changed, but because some small, stubborn part of me remembered loving her. Remembered being kids together before everything got complicated. Remembered the sister she'd been before she became the woman who betrayed me. I folded the onesie carefully and put it in Lily's drawer. Maybe someday I'd give it to her. Maybe someday I'd tell her the whole story, not just a sanitized version for 6-year-olds, but the truth. The ugly, complicated, painful truth about how families fall apart and how people survive anyway. But not today. Today, I made breakfast. I called Lily down from her room. I poured orange juice and cut up strawberries and listened to her chatter about the butterflies she'd seen on the playground yesterday. Today, I lived my life. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything.